Prince William has just inherited sole ownership of an estate so classified that even veteran royal experts weren't aware of its existence until a fortnight ago. The manner in which Camilla and her son Tom Parker Bowles discovered this has reportedly triggered unprecedented tension within palace circles that insiders describe as extraordinary by any modern standard. This isn't tabloid sensationalism. Multiple sources present when the document surfaced have confirmed these accounts. When you examine what changed hands, what Queen Elizabeth II had been discreetly arranging for years, and what Camilla's relatives had been positioning to accomplish with these identical properties, the situation appears less like conventional inheritance and more like strategic planning where one party executed their decisive move posthumously. Before we continue, subscribe to stay informed as additional information emerges. Begin where this actually started, which is 1944. World War II continues. Britain faces existential threat, and King George VI discreetly acquires property deep in the Chiltern Hills, spanning the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire border. Known as the Cedar Estate, from acquisition it's designed for obscurity. No royal registry entry, no press coverage, no official recognition. For over 80 years, the Cedar Estate existed only in hushed discussions among senior courtiers, a hidden property known to virtually nobody and safeguarded by everyone aware of it. That's the initial question worth considering. Why would the royal family preserve a classified estate for 8 decades? What did it contain requiring such concealment? Explanation arrived in internal briefing documents shared with Royal Correspondent Guild members on February 3, 2026. What those documents revealed left even experienced royal historians temporarily stunned. The Cedar Estate contains a private chapel with engraved memorial vault listing royal family members who served in military conflict, archival chambers housing 186 oak chests containing personal wartime correspondence and confidential royal communications, 72 previously unknown royal portraits, including never-before-seen oil paintings of King George VI and Princess Margaret, and perhaps most remarkable, 14 sealed audio recordings of Queen Elizabeth II in private conversation with Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, Ronald Reagan, and Charles de Gaulle. One archivist with decades working in royal archives described the collection with a single memorable observation. This wasn't, he noted, a museum of history. It represented the unvarnished framework of royal memory, insight into the private essence of the monarchy itself. Here's what makes this more significant. Between 2017 and 2021, Prince William had been discreetly visiting the Cedar Estate on private weekends. Not ceremonially, not as observer. He walked the cedar groves with the Queen, reviewed wartime correspondence, personally cataloged naval dispatches, refilleted hundreds of letters from Second World War soldiers, even repaired moisture control systems in archival chambers. This wasn't duty through appearance, this was stewardship through commitment. Queen Elizabeth noticed. In handwritten notation found within the Covenant Trust, she wrote these words: "He will inherit more than the crown. He will inherit the silence that preserved it." Those words weren't accidental, they were declaration. Now, we must discuss the legal framework enabling this transfer because it's as remarkable as the estate itself. The Cedar Estate doesn't fall under the Crown Estate, doesn't fall under the Duchy of Cornwall. Instead, it exists through private legal mechanism called a Covenant Trust created in 2020, filed under Charter Seal 0142 and witnessed by the Queen's personal solicitor, constitutional advisor, and notary from the Royal Archives. The trust included delayed activation clause designed to trigger only after 2 specific conditions occurred: completion of the Queen's state funeral and the moment Prince William was publicly recognized as heir to institutional responsibility. Both conditions are now satisfied. The official statement confirmed it plainly. Under terms of the sealed Covenant Trust, executed by Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in 2020, the property known as the Cedar Estate shall pass in complete and exclusive guardianship to His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, effective immediately. Simple language, irreversible outcome. Here's where the narrative shifts from inheritance to conflict, because not everyone received this information gracefully. Multiple sources have verified what palace insiders had suspected for some time. Queen Camilla and her son Tom Parker Bowles had been discreetly, persistently, and strategically maneuvering to bring the Cedar estate under their control for years. Beginning late 2024, Camilla had been advocating internally for what she termed the Windsor Cultural Legacy Center, a concept including gourmet retreats celebrating British culinary heritage, literary salons emphasizing female royal narratives, and small group historical tours through cedar groves. It appeared respectable superficially, but beneath that surface, the ambitions were considerably less sentimental. Tom Parker Bowles saw something different when he viewed the Cedar estate. He saw revenue. Private memos reviewed by royal insiders show he'd been developing plans, including a Michelin-grade tasting restaurant inside the old hunting lodge, an artisanal food brand called Royal Wild, featuring cedar-aged cheeses, wild trout, estate honey, and seasonal Highland wines, and elite supper occasions for exclusive guests, commercial operation dressed in royal heritage clothing. Then came October 18, 2025, and a leaked briefing note that altered everything. Tom Parker Bowles' legal team had been exploring whether portions of the estate could be reclassified under public heritage law, arguing its wartime origins justified cultural protection status. Legal reclassification would have weakened Prince William's exclusive claim and potentially opened pathways to shared management. Consider this. Does any of that suggest respect for sacred royal legacy? Does it suggest commercial takeover wearing heritage disguise? In November 2025, Camilla hosted private reception near Henley-on-Thames, inviting heritage donors, food critics, and art historians. Superficially, the event celebrated rural sustainability, but attendees tell different account. It was, in one guest's words, a trial balloon, a rehearsal for public-private stewardship model that would allow Camilla's foundation and outside donors to share control of the Cedar estate. Prince William learned of the event. He politely but firmly declined participation. He maintained the Queen's original vision without compromise. 3 weeks later, he activated the Covenant Trust. The Cedar estate wasn't the only contested ground. On January 31, 2026, the land registry quietly updated, reflecting another transfer Camilla hadn't anticipated. Northacre Hall, a sprawling 200-acre heritage property, nestled among Wiltshire's ancient hedges and Berkshire's rolling hills. Historically a lesser-known royal retreat, it had hosted hunting weekends and sensitive diplomatic gatherings during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Its combination of historical prestige, agricultural revenue, untapped licensing rights linked to an 800-year legacy made it, according to commercial assessments, uniquely strategic royal asset. What makes the Northacre Hall transfer remarkable is timing. Documents dated September 8, 2022, just weeks before the Queen's passing, revealed she'd formally reclassified Northacre Hall from shared Crown estate asset to personal sovereign holding. This ensured she could transfer it privately through her will, rather than through institutional succession. In Appendix R3, she wrote, "Let Northacre remain with the child who bears the burden of our future. Let it be not merely shelter, but sanctuary." The decision bypassed both King Charles and Princess Anne. The ripples through inner royal circle were immediate and quiet, like stone dropped into still water at midnight. According to palace archivists, this was the first personal transfer of its kind since Queen Victoria's Highland reallocation in 1872, executed in absolute secrecy. Only 2 living witnesses were privy to the codicil: Sarah Chatto and the late Queen's legal advisor, Sir Alistair Denholm. The sealed envelope deposited with 3 words on outside, "For the reign after me." But Camilla hadn't been idle. Notes from Palace Aid confirmed that by 2023, she and Tom Parker Bowles had been lobbying discreetly to incorporate Northacre Hall into royal culinary heritage venture, presented publicly as farm-to-table revival, backed privately by luxury investors from UAE and Paris-based venture capital firm. The plan included 5-star boutique hotel, heritage cooking school, and complete rebranding of estate as luxury Windsor destination. Commercial feasibility study from July 2025 valued Northacre Hall's licensing rights alone exceeding £48 million over 10-year horizon. One courtier, speaking anonymously, summarized the moment with devastating precision. Camilla believed she'd soft acquired the estate through influence. The Queen outmaneuvered her from beyond the grave. What followed was carefully orchestrated campaign of whispers and subtle pressure led by Camilla's longtime fixer, Maurice Lello, retired PR consultant known for palace back-channel operations. Anonymous think pieces began appearing late 2025, suggesting the monarchy had overinvested in heritage assets and needed to recalibrate generational equity. In final push, Tom Parker Bowles allegedly attempted securing lease inquiry on Northacre's southern orchard tract, claiming it was unused arable land. The request was promptly denied by Duchy of Cornwall legal team, citing inheritance protection. Palace sources described Camilla's reaction as temper crisis in November 2025. The word used by those present wasn't anger. It was something colder, fury at being outflanked by deceased monarch. Now we arrive at what may be most emotionally resonant chapter in this extraordinary account. Mid-January 2026, Princess Anne conducted forensic review of Queen's private correspondence at Windsor's Oak Room. What she discovered 3 times and secured within leather folio bearing Mark W for William George was codicil unlike anything the family had seen. Clarence House estate, nestled deep in Chiltern Hills, accessible only via discreet private driveway, stretching 4 miles from any main road, property quietly purchased in 1947 by King George VI, designed as off-book reserve for direct heirs, insulated from Parliament, public scrutiny, and flux of royal funding. The Queen's directive was written in her own hand, clear, unambiguous, and deliberately personal. I entrust Clarence House to my grandson William in full title and spirit, free of encumbrance, free of shadow. It remain outside Crown Estate, immune to politics, immune to scandal. This land is covenant, not commodity. Its purpose is to guard moral line of succession. That phrase, immune to scandal, wasn't idle writing. Sources indicate Queen had grown deeply wary of public controversy surrounding Prince Andrew and volatile media ventures of Prince Harry. To Elizabeth, her legacy needed moral insulation, place untouched by gossip, profit, or chaos. Clarence House would be Prince William and Catherine's sanctuary, ethical and dynastic compass of family's future. Camilla learned of transfer on January 20th. According to sources, she immediately summoned her legal team at Highgrove alongside Tom Parker Bowles. Her son had just suffered significant publishing contract loss connected to scandal involving his food brand's misuse of royal crest. Clarence House wasn't sacred to her. It was commercial opportunity, and she intended to claim it. Internal emails later leaked revealed her vision in her own words. Imagine the launch from Queen's Garden to yours. By January 23rd, proposal was already drafted under newly registered company called Hill and Crown Limited, with Tom Parker Bowles listed as executive director. The plan was to rebrand Clarence House into boutique hospitality and agricultural brand, emphasizing regenerative luxury, climate resilience, and royal sustainability. Tom Parker Bowles would become, in Camilla's vision, Prince of Green Britain, his aristocratic future grounded in soil rather than scandal. But codicil had already been notarized in royal archives. Legal transfer to Duchy of Cornwall Trust had already been completed. Hill and Crown Limited arrived 3 weeks too late. Then came January 28th, and leak that ended it all. Anonymous whistleblower, believed by some to be disillusioned former aide, forwarded internal Hill and Crown business deck to Lord Chancellor's office, citing attempted commercial trespass on sealed royal legacy. Leaked documents revealed everything. Rebranding strategies, speculative luxury valuations, and mock-ups of Clarence House, with corporate logos airbrushed over its Edwardian facade. Backlash was immediate and total. Prince William confronted Camilla at Windsor during private lunch intended to honor Catherine's recovery. Sources close to royal household described exchange as brief but devastating. Prince William reportedly said, "Clarence House does not exist to be bottled, branded, or sold. It is last sanctuary of my grandmother's soul, and I will protect it as I protect my wife and children." Camilla left without finishing her meal. Within 48 hours, Hill and Crown Limited was dissolved. Tom Parker Bowles withdrew from 3 public appearances, citing stress-related fatigue. No formal statements were issued, but inside Palace, message was unambiguous. King Charles, refusing direct engagement with confrontation, confided in Princess Anne with line that since passed into royal household legend. Elizabeth always knew who would hold crown, not just wear it. Just when dust from Clarence House seemed settling, new battleground emerged, and this one was more audacious than anything preceding. Greystone Downs, protected estate of over 400 acres of ancient woodland, boasting Tudor hunting lodge dating to 1578, and private stone chapel adorned with 17th century relics. Queen Elizabeth had spent over 4 decades preserving Greystone Downs as both retreat and living archive of royal moral code. Leaving it to Prince William wasn't just practical, it was symbolic. He wasn't only heir to throne, was heir to restraint, stewardship, and quiet dignity. Camilla and Tom Parker Bowles saw it differently. Valued at £80 million, according to documents recovered from former financial aid, Greystone Downs was their most coveted target yet. Their vision was staggering in ambition, and many would argue staggering in audacity. £5,000 per night eco-lodges, curated farm-to-table dining hosted by Tom Parker Bowles himself, members only Royal Culinary Circle targeting elite clientele from UAE and East Asia. All packaged as Windsor Sanctuary, premium brand built on foundation of someone else's heritage. Behind scenes, Camilla's legal liaison, Sir Piers Mallory, had begun probing will for any clause permitting shared custodianship or heritage collaboration. Any thread that could unravel Prince William's exclusive control. Tom Parker Bowles had quietly registered new holding company in Luxembourg, Stag Crown Hospitality Limited, 3 weeks before Queen's will was made public. Plans recovered by palace insiders included converting estate's chapel into mindfulness retreat center and transforming stables that once housed Elizabeth's prize ponies into wellness vineyard spa. Then Princess Anne intercepted confidential email between Camilla's lawyer and peer in House of Lords. She shared what she found with Prince William. Her assessment was delivered in cool, measured tone, those who know her understand, to be far more concerning than outrage. She's not challenging Crown, she said. She's challenging Mother's ethics. Prince William convened closed-door strategy session with Privy Purse. What followed was swift and total legal counteroffensive. Sealed codicil released to Royal Archives on February 3, 2026, made Camilla's plans impossible. Written in Queen's hand and notarized in 2021, it explicitly barred any material transformation, commercial conversion, or brand exploitation of Greystone Downs without express approval of Prince William himself. Clause was direct rebuke proof that Elizabeth had not only anticipated challenge, but had prepared for it years in advance. Palace footmen who served during confrontation described moment Camilla opened envelope bearing Queen's monogram. She read it twice in complete silence. Then she spoke 4 words no one in that room will ever forget. Even in death, she leaves me caged. Prince William's response came not in words, but in action. On February 5th, he made unscheduled visit to Greystone Downs, accompanied by Princess Catherine and their 3 children. Cameras capture Wales family walking along frozen edge of Estates Lake at sunset. No statement, no press conference, no drama, just family on their land honoring promise. If Greystone Downs represented Camilla's most audacious move, then Heath Estate delivered her most humiliating defeat. Located southeast of Forest Lodge, Heath was vast expanse of undeveloped woodland, spanning over 500 acres bordering historic Roman road, and protected under royal conservation deed. Insiders had long viewed it as potential site for high-level retreats, secure diplomatic gatherings, and world-class rehabilitation programs. Under royal patronage, Camilla had coveted it, and her planning had commenced almost immediately after Queen Elizabeth's passing. She'd misread sealed section of Elizabeth's will, assuming Heath referred to ceremonial plot of unused hunting grounds. She was comprehensively wrong. Heath was accompanied by £37 million private trust, quietly assembled through decades of strategic transfers, and personally approved by Queen. Financial buffer that had been growing in background for years, invisible to those who hadn't been told to look for it. Discovery of this fund enraged Tom Parker Bowles. He'd long envisioned media-branded culinary wellness center on land backed by Dubai investors and French spa conglomerate. Camilla had allegedly promised Tom Parker Bowles she'd use her regency privilege to secure royal endorsement, while King Charles remained semi-retired. Promotional dinners had already been planned. Society invitations were being drafted, organic wines, locally sourced produce, and Duchy olive oils were selected for showcase events with foreign dignitaries. Machine was running. And then on January 30th, 2026, Princess Anne, acting on behalf of Crown Trust Authority, sealed asset transfer backdated to December 28, 2025. Prince William officially received full rights to Green Heath. The £37 million trust went with it. That evening, black sedan delivered to Clarence House final documents, along with something Camilla hadn't expected, private audio recording of Queen Elizabeth herself, explaining her wishes for Green Heath in her own voice. Estate was to become secure legacy zone reserved exclusively for environmental education programs, child rehabilitation initiatives, and educational stewardship under direct patronage of Prince William and Catherine. Camilla summoned Tom Parker Bowles and 2 estate lawyers to crisis meeting at Bromley House that same night. According to Palace leaks, conversation turned almost immediately to legal maneuvering. Camilla was prepared to challenge Elizabeth's mental clarity at time of Green Heath deed, to claim that Prince William and Catherine, aided by influential advisors, had manipulated elderly Queen. It was posthumous attack on Elizabeth herself, attempt to rewrite history from inside family that history belonged to. King Charles, despite his frailty, issued private warning within 48 hours. Any attempt to undermine Elizabeth's will would be treated as sedition against Crown's memory. When letter leaked to the Times on February 2nd, public outrage erupted. Pro-monarchy groups, constitutional scholars, royal historians lined up to denounce plot as morally and legally indefensible. Princess Catherine's quiet appearance at Windsor Children's Hospice that same day served as defining visual counterpoint, dignity and compassion standing in absolute silent contrast to Camilla's scheming. At 9:46 a.m. on February 3rd, Prince William arrived at Green Heath Gates alone. Simple navy wool coat, single aide, no cameras, no press, no fanfare. He signed inaugural charter of Green Heath Royal Future Trust, permanently closing estate to commercial exploitation, and codifying it under ethical framework that mirrored Elizabeth's environmental and educational vision. As signing concluded, Rolls-Royce appeared at western boundary of estate. Camilla stepped out, dark glasses, lips pressed tight, black leather folder clutched to her chest. She didn't speak, she didn't approach, she merely stood there observing in complete silence, unfolding a vision she couldn't claim, control, or reverse. Tom Parker Bowles never appeared. By evening, Camilla had canceled royal culinary events scheduled for February 4th. Her PR team issued single line, Her Majesty Queen Camilla regrets recent developments and supports King's reaffirmation of late Queen's legacy. And then came Oakridge, last estate, one that in many ways said everything. Sealed leather envelope bearing Elizabeth II's royal cipher was formally presented to Prime Minister Harriet Shawcross on morning of February 3rd, confirming transfer of Oakridge estate to Prince William. Unlike Balmoral or Sandringham, Oakridge wasn't bound by Crown estate regulations. It was private holding under unique clause in Queen's will. Fortress of pastoral retreat, untouched expanse bordering Thames Forest, used by George VI for hunting and containing ruins of Tudor chapel hidden within its grounds. Its estimated value was £18 million, but that figure was, as everyone involved understood, entirely beside point. Oakridge had been Queen Elizabeth's personal hearth during family disputes, place of refuge, reflection, and resolve. Cradle of Prince William's early summers, where as child he first learned what it meant to belong to something larger than himself. One final journal entry tucked beside, pressed lavender in estate's private library, spoke simply to future stewardship and care of legacy. Even as transfer was completed, Camilla and Tom Parker Bowles remained quiet. Whispers circulated about possible legal appeal via Privy Purse Committee, claiming Oakridge had benefited from public funds and could be reclassified. Prince William had anticipated this. He ordered full review of restoration logs and security payments dating back to 1953. Forensic accountants began cross-checking every line, every expense, every receipt. But Elizabeth, as always, had thought further ahead than anyone who opposed her. Private will contained clause titled Anticipatory Obstruction, nullifying any challenge to Oakridge by individuals outside Windsor bloodline or married into family after 2010. Clause was read to senior royals in green drawing room. Silence fell completely. Camilla stormed out. Tom Parker Bowles reportedly cursed his lawyers. Princess Anne, who'd been sitting quietly throughout reading, turned to King Charles and said with perfect composure, "I always knew this day would come." That evening, Prince William, Catherine, and their 3 children toured Oakridge for first time as its stewards. George, standing atop old watchtower ruins and looking out across frozen estate, asked his father question that those present say will stay with them forever. "Will this be ours forever?" Prince William's answer was calm, measured, and completely certain. "As long as we protect it." Shortly after, letter arrived from late Queen's personal solicitor, Sir Jonathan Arborfield. It contained one final passage from Elizabeth herself, words that rendered every legal maneuver, every commercial scheme, and every back-channel lobbying effort entirely irrelevant. "If ever this estate is challenged, let it be known Oakridge belongs not to power, but to patience. Let one who bore weight of Crown's future, burden of entitlement, carry it forward." Signed, Elizabeth R. So, step back momentarily and consider what Queen Elizabeth II actually achieved across these transfers. She didn't simply leave properties to her grandson. She built legal fortress around him, layer by layer, estate by estate, clause by clause, designed to withstand every challenge that ambition, commerce, and family rivalry could present. She anticipated commercial proposals. She anticipated legal maneuvering. She anticipated public pressure campaigns. She built in responses to all of them years before they happened. From woman in her 90s, who never stopped thinking several moves ahead, you must ask yourself a question that sits at heart of all this. Why did Queen feel this level of protection was necessary? Answer isn't flattering for those who forced her hand. Answer is that within her own family, within institutions she'd given her entire life to, she identified actors whose priorities weren't legacy, weren't service, and weren't welfare of monarchy's future. They were commercial, they were personal, they were about brand building and financial positioning, and transformation of 7 centuries of royal heritage into hospitality portfolio. Elizabeth chose Prince William precisely because she saw in him what those others lacked. Not ambition, not desire for profit or public platform, but willingness to quietly catalog wartime letters in archival chamber, to repair moisture controls in vault that no camera would ever film, to walk cedar groves with elderly Queen and listen more than he spoke. Stewardship, that was word she inscribed into every covenant, and it wasn't, she understood, common quality. Prince William's response to every attempt to circumvent Queen's wishes has been consistent, composed, and entirely in keeping with woman who chose him. He didn't escalate publicly. He didn't give press conferences or issue statements of outrage. He signed charters, he walked with his children, he let legal architecture his grandmother built speak on his behalf, and it spoke very loudly indeed. As morning broke over Windsor Great Park on February 3, 2026, and pale sunlight spilled across frost-kissed hedges, a new chapter of royal history had already been written, not in ceremony or proclamation, but in quiet, irrevocable language of sealed trusts, notarial codicils, and grandmother's handwritten certainty. Prince William walked pathways of a state that was now fully and finally his own. George bounced alongside him, full of questions about chapels and hidden groves and meaning of history. Charlotte clutched leather-bound journal, absorbing every detail, and Prince William answered each question with patience of man who understood, perhaps better than anyone alive, what it means to be entrusted with something precious. Camilla's ambitions weren't merely defeated, were rendered structurally impossible, not by confrontation, not by palace politics, but by preemptive legal genius of sovereign who'd spent decades watching, assessing, and preparing. Every commercial scheme Tom Parker Bowles drafted, every back-channel lobbying campaign Camilla's advisors ran, every legal probe into shared custodianship, every rebranding proposal, every holding company registered, every mock-up with corporate logos airbrushed over Edwardian facades, all of it anticipated, all of it neutralized, all of it answered in clauses written years before challenges were ever made. As senior footman, who served both Queen Elizabeth and now Prince William put it with quiet finality, this wasn't just house, it was Queen's final chess move, and in grand tradition of woman who made it, move was perfect. For Prince William, these estates aren't trophies, they're responsibilities, and he's never once suggested otherwise. For Camilla and Tom Parker Bowles, battle is over, estates are sealed, covenants are unassailable. Queen's voice preserved in letters and legal clauses and private audio recording has spoken with clarity that no living advocate could match. Legacy Queen Elizabeth understood is not measured in wealth or influence or size of commercial portfolio. It's measured in stewardship, integrity, and courage to protect what matters, even from those who stand closest to it. Prince William got estates, he got mission that came with them, and he got something far more enduring than either: absolute documented certainty that women who knew him best trusted him most.